Greetings, Commanders. I'm Commander Jypson, and as you can see, I'm out doing some exploration. I'm out almost to the core, kind of far out there, and as you can see on the map here, there is home on the bottom edge. Alright, so let's see if we can get a bearing on how far out in the void we are. Alright, map, let's see if you can cooperate here for a second. Alright, so, for some reason I have a sidewinder here. And as you can see, I'm just out by 15,000 light years from human-controlled space. Pretty far out there, but I still got a while to go before I get into the actual core. But it's starting to look pretty interesting out here. Alright, so as you can see, I am piloting a Clipper. Probably asking, why on earth are you piloting a Clipper this far out when you should be in an ASP or something like that? Well, I want to do this in style. So let's look at what we're using here. I've got an A3 auto maintenance unit, a C7 fuel scoop, which does an excellent job without spending too much money. Of course, an A5 frameshift drive, a chaff launcher for when I'm back in civilized space, and a few heat seek launchers in case we end up getting pulled out of super cruise and end up overheating. Hopefully we can get back into super cruise without getting into trouble. And as you can see here, I've got an advanced discovery scanner on my primary trigger, heat sink on the secondary, and on the other side I got chaff launcher, primary, heat sink on secondary, just in case I get into some trouble when I get back into human occupied space. Alright, so let's take a look at what we're doing here. Here's the system map. As you can see, I've already scanned these two stars here, and I've mapped a button to get me back on track here, and we're going to jump to our next system. So as I'm sure you've noticed, this video is a little bit long because I kind of wanted to give everybody a taste of exploration if you haven't gotten out there and done it already. Exploration isn't exciting. I don't know what to tell you besides that. It just isn't super exciting. It's all about following a routine and making sure you cut down on your time, scanning planets, finding out what to scan, what not to scan, and moving on. Because basically exploration can take a lot of time. Alright, so you see I just jumped into the system here, and I'm going to do a discovery scan. Alright, so it looks like we've just got 2 stars. We're going to open up our system map, and yep, sure enough, 2 stars. And we're going to see how far away the second star is. Alright, so it's almost 50,000 light seconds. And to me, that's not really worth scanning. I try to keep it down to about 15,000 light seconds, and anything up to that, I'll go for. And maybe up to 20 if I'm feeling like it might be a good find. But for a red dwarf, yeah, it's not worth going 50,000 light seconds. So basically I'm just going to do a little bit of fuel scooping here, and then activate the FSD as soon as it's done scooping. So what is it exactly that we're looking for when we're out here? We're looking for some high value targets. Of course, it's always nice to put your name on a star, and you do get some extra money for putting your name on a star, but not a whole lot of bragging rights, because you don't run into very many commander names this far away from the human controlled space. But you do every once in a while, and I gotta tell you, it's almost infuriating when you run into somebody. It's like, how on earth did I intersect with you, you know, thousands of light years away from human controlled space? Alright, anyways, here we are in a new system. So we're at throttle 0. That's a big thing when you're trying to get some information. Discovery scanner. Alright, very cool. So we select the star in front of us and open our system map. And let's see what we got out here. Alright, so we got some gas giants, which are cool, but we're looking for water worlds. We're looking for high metal content. We're looking for Earth-like. And these gas giants are cool, but they're not the big money. So we're pretty much just going to move on. So of course what we do is getting closer to our fuel scooping. And once we're full here, which is going to be really quick with the Charlie 7 fuel scoop, we get out of range of fuel scooping and activate the FSD. Alright, so let's talk about the Clipper for a little bit. It's not the best exploration ship. Obviously, the Asp Explorer and the Diamondback Explorer and even the Diamondback Scout are some pretty strong ships, but in my opinion, no ship looks better than the Imperial Clipper. It's just a beautiful ship, and if you're going to go exploring, you're going to get sick of your dashboard real quick, so you might as well have the best HUD, the best ship possible. The Imperial Clipper. It's just a beautiful ship. Alright, so new system, doing our scan, selecting the planet. Alright, so I love these stars, these blue, white stars here, beautiful. Alright, so let's take a look. We got 3 stars, and it looks like a gas giant. That might be a brown dwarf, maybe. But I don't see any compelling planets here. Yeah, these aren't worth scanning. But what is this one? No, it doesn't look great. Alright, so let's see how far away everything is here real quick. Alright, so we can definitely get this other star because it's really close. In fact, we can scan the star through the other star. Which is a little bit silly. But since we can do it, we might as well take advantage of it, right? Alright, so analyzing, and it's a yellow-orange star, which we pretty much knew from the system map. And alright, so we're going to scan our next star, and we might be able to get it from here. Yep, sure enough. Yeah, so it's only 1,000 light seconds, and a lot of the stars, sometimes you can get up to 3,000-4,000 light seconds, and still be able to scan a star, depending on its mass. Alright, so we got a blue-white star, very cool. Let's check out our system map one more time here. And let's see about this little bugger right here. Alright, so it's about 4,000 light seconds out, but it is a star, so we're going to go after it because we might be able to actually scan it at, say, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 if we're lucky, and that way we don't have to actually travel that far to get it. So why am I so concerned about how far away everything is? My main concern is travel equals time. Now, I'm not sure about you guys, how much time you got time to play Elite Dangerous, but I don't have tons of time, so I want to make sure I can maximize the time spent in-game versus credits, versus, you know, whatnot, because I'd like to make Elite Explorer, and I'm not sure if a trip to Sag A and back is going to do it, but I'm going to try to scan as much as I can that's, let's say, time sensitive, to see if we can make some money along the way. And if we start scanning things that are 30, 40, 50,000 and beyond light seconds away, we're talking about a real time investment. And even at a extremely conservative 15,000 light seconds, we're still talking about a lot of time. So while we're scanning here, or going to scan, I'm going to talk about the Clipper just a little bit more. Like I said, the Clipper is probably the most beautiful ship in the game. Yeah, I think that's almost universally accepted. I know we got some dropship pilots in there that say the dropship pilot is the most beautiful in the game, but it's all up to your personal opinion. Now, of course, the Clipper isn't your go-to exploring ship, because back before 1.3, you couldn't change out fuel tanks. I mean, you could get smaller fuel tanks, but it had a maximum allotment for the fuel tank slot. But now you can actually add more fuel tanks to your build, which makes the Clipper, I'd say, eligible, maybe, to be an exploring ship. So what I did is I tacked on 2 more 16-ton tanks, and that's a bit overkill. Like the Anaconda and I believe the Asp have 32-ton tanks, and that's more than necessary. But I really did not want to get caught out there without fuel and have to ring up the fuel rats to come save my butt. So I added a little bit more gas on there to make sure I didn't get myself into trouble. Now, of course, that compromises your jump range, but I felt the extra safety net was probably worth it. Alright, so, man, we're really getting down there. Alright, so we're getting this brown dwarf here at about 500 light seconds. So, actually, this isn't too much smaller than an actual gas giant. A lot of the big like class 3, class 4 gas giants, you can start to pick up at about 1,000 light seconds. So this is a pretty small brown dwarf that we're picking up at the 500. Alright, so since we're talking mass here a little bit, the small planets, you usually pick up anywhere between 50 and 100 light seconds. Bigger planets you can pick up between 100 and 500 light seconds. And normally the stars you can pick up from 1,000 to maybe even 5,000 light seconds depending on the mass of the star. Okay, so we checked out that star, got our name on it. Excellent, that's going to be a little bit extra money in the bank because it's going to be a first discovery. And we're going to jump to our next system here. Alright, for the sake of time, I kind of cut down on a little bit of not much going on and went straight to a brown dwarf system. So I wanted to show you what kind of planets show up in a brown dwarf system. Now, not much is really the answer here. So it's not even usually worth checking out. So all of these planets are really just low money planets and not really worth checking out. So when you do get into a brown dwarf system, you can pretty much just scoop and boop. By that I mean, do your discovery scanner, scoop some fuel. Well, I guess not from a brown dwarf. Don't do that. You can end up overheating and dying because you can't. But just move on to the next system. Alright, so I ran into another interesting system here. So as you can see, we just got an F-type star. And when we go to our system map, we've got some interesting looking planets here. We've actually got maybe a water world and some high metal content planets. And some of them might be terraformable, which is pretty cool. And that's where we get a lot of good money. So what we're going to do here, since we're going to be scanning all of them, is pretty much just select the closest one first. And then we're going to go around and scan it and see what's what. Alright, so here we have what looks like a pretty cool looking high metal content planet. So we're going to open up our system map and take a look at what it's all about. Alright, so when we click on it after it's been scanned, we can see the information here. We can see it's a high metal content world with a metallic core. Worlds like this can have metallic cores near the surface in places, especially around areas of past volcanism. And these are all high metal content planets here. And not much differentiating between them, except for maybe what their atmosphere is. Like this one's got carbon, this one has no atmosphere at all. So obviously this one's not going to be terraformable since it doesn't have an atmosphere. So it's not going to be tons of money. But it does look pretty cool, and that's a big part of exploration, is seeing how cool the planets look, right? So they can look pretty good. But alright, we're going to move on to the next system here. Looks like we got some nebulas in front of us. We'll see if we find anything interesting. Alright, so it turns out not much. So we're going to check out how I'm doing my route here. So what I do is I kind of target the inside of the core, and I try to go out about 1,000 light years and plot a course from there. Now I'm not exactly in the core yet, so I can pretty much plot up to 1,000 light years no problem. I'm told that we're going to run into a lot of problems once we get into the core with plotting, but for now we can go up to 1,000 without much of an issue. So we got some pretty cool nebulas around here, but at this point in time I think I'm just going straight for Sag A, because I'm already getting a little bit sick of exploration. It's a little bit slow for my taste because I'm usually a combat jockey. Alright, so this is kind of a little of an interesting system that I just stumbled upon. And when I open up the system map here, we can see this symmetry. Just look at that symmetry. We got 3 stars. We got some planets that's orbiting between the stars. And each star has a rocky ring with planets orbiting it. Unfortunately, there's not any really cool planets orbiting. But at least the stars are... yes, pretty close by, so we're going to be able to nab all of the stars at least. Alright, so we're going to take a little bit of a break from our scanning and just admire the view. So this is what it looks like inside, well, just maybe outside of the core, just approaching the core. And as you can see, it's a beautiful view. It looks nothing like the space does in human-controlled space. And just because, let's do a quick selfie here with the Imperial Clipper. What a beautiful ship, right? Not just the asp, which is a little bit kind of ugly. Alright, so we may have stumbled upon something interesting here. I spy with my little eye an Earth-like world. Very cool. So, it says it's got sustainable for water-based life. So it's got a 73% nitrogen, 25% oxygen, 1.5% water atmosphere. Pretty cool, and this is what really brings in the money here. And let's see, composition 67.2% rock, 32% metal, and it's got a 0.63 atmosphere, so maybe a little hard to breathe. But since this is an Earth-like, we're going to want to go take our picture next to it, because that's what explorers do. We take pictures of interesting things. And an Earth-like world is kind of rare, so we definitely want to get a picture of it with our beautiful Imperial Clipper, because we're claiming this Earth-like world for the Empire. Well, maybe not. Who knows? Whoever we decide to sell this to. Alright, so we're kind of coming in here. And can you imagine if that's what space looked like for us? Kind of looking up from Earth. Man, that would be beautiful. Alright, and we're going to bring it in. So we got the core of the galaxy kind of sitting behind the planet, all beautiful like. So we can take a pretty picture of our newly discovered planet. It's so pretty. Here in Japan, they say kawaii, kawaii. That's what I always hear when I take my puppies out for a walk. And here is the obligatory selfie with the Imperial Clipper. Looks real nice. Alright, so here's another interesting system I stumbled upon. And this one, as you can see, has 6 stars in the local system. The core is pretty wild. We got 6 stars and 2 gas giants. So when we look at our galaxy map here real quick, my goodness, it is crowded and bright. The core is just crazy. It's beautiful, it really is. Alright, so you may have noticed, hey, my aspect ratio has changed. That's because I switched to my upstairs computer with the head tracking. And just going to show you what it looks like here in the Imperial Clipper with the ED Headtracker. That's what I'm using here. So as you can see, man, it is just beautiful doing the exploration. You can kind of look back and see the bridge with this giant canopy here on the bridge. And I say bridge because this is obviously not just a cockpit like the single-person fighters, or even the Vulture is a 2-person, but that's still called a cockpit. But this is most certainly the bridge. And see, for this, I'm using a 3440 by 1440 monitor, so super widescreen. That's why you're seeing the bars here on the top and bottom. And I really do like what you can do with this resolution. And with the head tracker, man, it just looks beautiful. So as you can see here, when you're jumping through witch space, it gets a little bit choppy, but I think that's because it's a loading screen, so it doesn't really render as well as the actual gameplay. Alright, so we're coming out here on a white-blue star here. Only discovered, oh, let's see, we got 34 items in system. And with the head tracker, it's pretty cool. I really like it. You can really get a sense of the scale of the system, and it feels a lot more like you're in the ship instead of just kind of taped to the front of the ship, if you will. And yeah, I just really love just looking around and seeing how great everything looks, especially once you start to get away from the main star in the system. You can see the background just kind of light up, where it's a little bit more suppressed around the central star. Alright, Commanders, this is the moment we've been waiting for. As you can see, up ahead of us is Sagittarius A. Alright, so we're going to pull up the galaxy map here and take a quick look around. Just look how dense it is right here. We're one jump away from Sag A. And there it is. Man, I gotta say, I'm pretty excited to jump in here. I've been working on this for the past week, getting out here, scanning all these planets. And looks like we got a star right underneath it. Interesting. Alright, so we're going to make our jump and see what's on the other end of this thing. Now, I'm told that once you make the jump, you're okay. You won't just overheat and die or get sucked into the black hole, which is nice, as long as we're not being internet trolled here. So here we go. We're on the final countdown to jump into Sagittarius A. Oh man, the jump has begun. Here we go. And just looking around here, I got the head tracker on. Taking a second to load, and there it is, Sagittarius A. Wow. That looks pretty cool. Oh, look at that. Look at the lensing effect when I just move my head around. Yeah, that is pretty impressive. Alright, so we're doing a quick scan here. Well, I'm moving my head around, messing around with the effects. Yeah, pretty cool. Alright, so a supermassive black hole. Awesome. Let's open on the system map. And who first discovered you? Ah, look at you. Alright, well, you get credit for it. Good job, man. You're the first person to get here. Big ups to you. You're a hell of an explorer, let me tell you. Alright, so I'm just going to fly around here a little bit just to see if the view changes at all. You can see, kind of looking out the side window here, the effects of the stars around it look really cool. They're kind of jumping around on the outside of the black hole. Yeah, it is beautiful. Yeah, well, let's see. So we still got a little bit of a lensing effect going on. It's pretty interesting. Alright, so we pull a little bit farther away here, and man, that just looks awesome. I just can't stop moving my head around looking at the way it changes the effects here. Man, it's so cool. I gotta admit, on my way here, I really thought twice about actually finishing the trip and just heading back, because it was getting pretty monotonous. But, oh, let me check my temperature real quick. Yeah, we're okay. Thought maybe we might be getting a little bit too close here. Didn't want to cook myself and end up losing everything. But yeah, I'm really glad I finished my trip out here. It's really just a beautiful sight. And I gotta say, even if you're not an explorer, like I really don't count myself as an explorer. I don't go out very often, but this is really a sight worth seeing for yourself. It just looks amazing, really. It's quite the spectacle, and I bet it's worth a little bit of chunk of change too, even though, of course, I'm not the first commander here. Not the first by far. Yeah, definitely come check it out for yourself, because it really is just an amazing sight to see, and the videos really just can't do it justice, really. If you are coming out for your first time, make sure you do it in a ship that you love, because you're going to be spending a lot of time coming out here. You're going to want to take a bunch of screenshots to show your progress and use for your own wallpapers. Alright, so speaking of screenshots, the rest of the video is going to be some screenshots that I took along my way and the narration here, so you can enjoy the rest of the screenshots with a little bit of music. Alright, this has been Commander Jypson, headed out to Sagittarius A. Thanks for watching, everybody, and hopefully I'll see you commanders out in the black. Thanks for watching, and let me know what you thought in the comments. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to see all of my latest videos.